Some on the back there.
This regular work session of the Burnsville City Council to order. And our work sessions are informal, and so we welcome everyone to the work session. And I think we'll go around the room so folks at home will know who's around the table and who's in the room. So we'll go to our city manager.
Good evening, Greg Lindbergh, City Manager.
Hello, Hugo McPhee, Deputy City Manager.
Dan Keeley, Burnsville City Council.
Jared Shepard, City Attorney.
Tom Venables, IT Director.
Daryl Jacobson, Natural Resource Manager.
Bridget Radzak, Sustainability Coordinator.
Mark Ray, Public Works Director.
Bethany Brewer, Strategic Initiatives Director.
Jenny Rohde, Deputy City Manager and CFO.
Vince Workman, City Council.
Dan Gustafson, City Council.
Michelle Collins, City Clerk.
Elizabeth Couts, Mayor, and then we'll start with you.
Adam Burr, Excel Energy.
Michelle Swanson, Community Relations from Excel Energy.
Megan Weck with Center for Energy and Environment.
Okay.
Sophia Troutman, Excel Energy Partners and Energy Program Manager.
Okay.
Donna Jensen, just here to observe.
Yeah, you're part of the committee.
Yep.
I saw your picture in the report.
Tony Comer, just a citizen here to listen and observe.
Okay, very good. Welcome. Welcome, everyone, and thank you to all of you from Excel who are here and from the Energy. So the first item on the agenda is the Energy Action Plan. And presenting this evening is our Sustainability Coordinator, Bridget Radzak. The floor is yours.
Great. Well, thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm excited to be back here to share progress and next steps after we were here in September. And you got to hear from a few of our team members, but just want to make sure you know who's all here. So Megan Weck from Partners in Energy, Sophia Troutman, Michelle Swanson, and Adam Burr from Excel Energy. And then our Energy Action Team community member, Donna Jensen, is also here, who all participated in this plan that we have here before you tonight. So thank you all for your work on this. And can you hear me okay? Or do I need to? Okay, great.
Yeah, I know it's very interesting because the microphones go out because yeah.
Yep.
And here you just have to use your outside voice.
Great. Okay. Let me know if I'm not loud enough, though, please. So to kick off tonight, I wanted to share the alignment of this plan with our city's 6 strategic priorities. This plan will help us create a vibrant community where we will engage our community residents and businesses on ways they can save energy and money and create a more comfortable and safe home and businesses for all in Burnsville. We will support our community by being responsible stewards of our resources and land and help our staff create great experiences for our community members and in turn have great experiences at work. Sustainability work touches on all levels of our strategic priorities, and we look forward to partnering with our community and energy providers in this work. So what is Partners in Energy that we're here to talk about tonight? So Partners in Energy is a 2-year collaboration with Excel Energy to develop and implement our individual community energy plan goals. It's an opportunity to engage stakeholders and create goals and strategies and develop a work plan to be successful. So a little bit on the background of our timeline. So Council approved the application for this program in January 2023 and signed an MOU on that planning phase. We checked in with Council on our draft components of the plan in September, and we're excited that tonight we have a full draft of the plan and the implementation MOU ready for your consideration. So this plan will help us share resources across the community so that our residents and businesses can leverage new and updated incentives, rebates, and tax credits that can help them save money and energy and increase efficiency. All programs are optional, and the city will be a conduit to sharing information with our community so that our community members are not left behind on these new programs. This will also help us leverage substantial resources through Excel Energy's Partners in Energy program, and the MOU lays out 327 staff hours and $2,000 for things like printing and event costs. We will receive energy expertise, joint marketing, education and outreach support, project management support, and also help with tracking and reporting. Graduates of the program can also continue to partner with Partners in Energy. This will help us increase our sustainability resources to share information with our community and catalyze our residents and businesses to be able to leverage these opportunities. This plan is completely voluntary for our residents and businesses to take part in and is meant to connect them to a toolkit of resources. The goals are focused on how we help our community and help support our sustainability plan goals. And a little bit of background on how this plan was developed. We utilized broad community engagement in this plan. We held 2 in-person multilingual open houses in October, one in Spanish and one in Somali, to have conversations with those members of the community. We also held a community-wide survey that was held in English, Spanish, and Somali. And city staff also went to a few events in the fall to talk to community members as well. Our planning team met 4 times, and they included multifamily building residents, manufactured home residents, single-family home residents, utility representatives, city staff, and city commissioners. And all the information we compiled from this broad engagement was compiled into the plan we have tonight and reviewed by our Energy Action Plan team. And a little bit on our utility partners. So as mentioned, we partnered closely with all of our utilities across Burnsville for this plan. Xcel Energy organizes this program and has about the northern third of the city, as you can see on the map. Dakota Electric Association and Minnesota Valley Electric Cooperative also participated, which serve the rest of the city, and then CenterPoint Energy, as well as our city's natural gas utility. They attended all of our planning meetings and have committed to help us implement the plan going forward in their territories, and we're excited to continue collaboration with them as well. So our Energy Action Plan vision was developed with our planning team and reviewed with our community. And the vision is that Burnsville strives to make energy use cleaner and more efficient by engaging the community in effective energy actions. This plan will help make Burnsville a better place to live and preserve our resources for future generations. And this really aligns well with our city's vision as well. So our vision for a vibrant city is seen in how we will be cleaner and more efficient and a better place to live. Our vision to be boldly leading is seen in using these effective energy actions to be cleaner and more efficient. And our vision to be welcoming to all is seen in how we will engage the community, make Burnsville a better place to live, and preserve our resources for future generations of people. We're excited for how this plan will help the city advance our whole vision to be a vibrant city, boldly leading and welcoming to all. And in our plan, we have 5 focus areas. The first of which is reducing energy burden. And energy burden is the percent of a household's income spent on energy costs. And this focus area will really help those that have high energy burden. So this can include sharing resources with them to increase safety and efficiency in homes, or connecting them with weatherization assistance and bill pay assistance programs. Residential energy efficiency and business energy efficiency are a little self-explanatory, will help residents and businesses save money in their homes and businesses, or save energy on money in their homes and businesses. Multifamily buildings is called out specifically to place attention on strategies that support those people that are potentially renting, people living in affordable housing, and property owners of multifamily buildings. And there are programs specific to them offered through the utilities and through federal and state programs. And share with them and help support our residents that rent as well. And then lastly, our renewable energy focus area will connect businesses and residents to options, programs, incentives, rebates, and tax credits if they're potentially considering renewable energy technologies or programs. So our schedule, so you can see the history here on the first couple of bullet points, and tonight we're really here at our next decision point as we look to finalize this draft Energy Action Plan and MOU and adopt it as a city to then move into our implementation period in partnership with Xcel Energy Partners in Energy Program. The MOU is a non-binding agreement to partner and work together on implementation with Xcel Energy, and the city's legal team has reviewed this document. Again, it's non-binding. Going forward, the plan will support our sustainability hub by helping us track our sustainability successes and goals there. We're going to explore areas that we can include Energy Action Plan metrics on the hub as well, and also share resources for residents and businesses on these new tax credits, incentives, things like that on the hub site, so that they can get involved in this Energy Action Plan. Again, we're excited about this opportunity and to connect our residents and businesses to these resources and save money and energy. We appreciate the partnership and collaboration of our community members in this plan and Xcel Energy and all of our utility providers. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. I thought the report was really well done. 80 pages. And but one of the things that I'm curious about is how we're measuring, because you have some good aspects in terms of how much we want to reduce in electricity and also in gas. And you have some goals. Now, we're getting information from Excel, but we're going to have CenterPoint Energy and Dakota Electric give us the information that we need?
Yes, correct. They provided the initial information for the report and will provide it going forward.
And how are you going to also then use that into our dashboard or on our hub? Because it's really wonderful to see how we can incorporate all of this into our sustainability plan, hub and dashboard.
Yeah, thank you for the questions. And so all of our Energy Action Plan goals were written to support our sustainability plan goals. So they all feed into one another, which is wonderful. And the Energy Action Plan goals get a little bit more specific and granular. So we will be looking at that as we move into implementation, how we want to put that on the hub site and what would be most useful to share there.
Okay. And I see that in the background, that tonight we're just receiving the report, but it's going to come before us on June 4th on the consent agenda for adoption and also for the MOU.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Any other questions? It was a very comprehensive report. Any other questions? No. Of course, sustainability and all of that is sort of, I like that stuff, and you guys are doing a great job. And to Xcel Energy, thank you very much for all of the support and all the work, and also to our community members, thank you. I love the fact that in the report of all of the community members that you identified, you guys have done a really great job in engaging and collaborating. So, thank you. Also very innovative with all of our partners. So, yes, Councilmember Keeley.
Just one question, just how does this fit into the goal of 100% renewals by 2040, that whole global plan? Is this one piece of that, just sort of one step in the stepping stone to get us there? As Excel was in front of us last year, with that plan, and I'm curious how this fits into that.
So I guess that sounds a bit like an Excel goal. So this is specifically for our residents and
For energy.
businesses. So we'll be sharing resources around renewable energy. It's all optional, however. So I think that Excel goal is separate that Excel's working on.
Okay,
if
well, I saw their logos as
correctly
Partners in Energy, and
correct.
it seems like it's a big Excel effort, so.
Yeah.
I had a feeling it might be tied in somehow to that
And
bigger goal of, right?
yes, some of those bigger goals that we announced have a lot to do also with the greening of the grid, right?
Yeah.
We're continuing to install more solar panels and get rid of coal burning and gas burning and stuff. So all of that, to your point, feeds into some of the greening of the grid that's gonna help all of our cities to reduce greenhouse gases, all of those good things. But, it's not necessarily built into the plan per se.
Yeah, this is, what you're asking about has to do with the 2050 plan to, at net zero. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one is just a smaller part of that overall plan that she just talked about. But the plan on net zero is very big, at least the ones that I'm seeing.
Yeah, but certainly all of our cities, or the cities that we serve, doing other things and adding renewables in addition to what we do definitely helps us. So thank you if you guys decide to move forward with that.
Follow-up.
Yeah,
So I guess what I was looking for is to answer the question, why? Why are we doing this? Is it because it feels good? Is it to reduce costs for end users? Is it to reduce energy draw toward that, right? Just managing our power usage? Is it part of that bigger plan of getting to that renewables? Does this help us in some way? And then you said something I want to just follow up on. in your articulation of how we're going to get to that 2040 zero plan, you mentioned coal, which you're already there, you're switching to gas, but you also included the word gas in that. Is there an effort to eliminate gas powered plants, which Excel has
What I
switched
mean
to?
is, one of the things that we most recently in the eco plan, which is the plan, or is the, basically how we're regulated, we are now allowed to incentivize residents and businesses to shift from gas usage to electric usage. So not from the grid perspective, but there is also a shift in maintaining nuclear and reducing gas in the future. If you look at our bigger plan,
Yeah.
yes.
So you are, in your bigger plan, you're looking to maintain
Yes, but that's
nuclear.
a smaller, but yes, there is some.
Well, that's
of that.
good, because that has like zero carbon
Yes,
footprint.
and-
That's the cleanest, most efficient way we could. Now, if we can just unlock your ability to do more of that, we'd be good. If you could convince the people who think they're smarter than everybody else in the legislature and get nuclear back available, that would be fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that as part of our vision for carbon-free by 2050, and in fact, the Minnesota legislature said it should be by 2040, so that's a very, very aggressive goal. You know, a part of that strategy is shutting down our coal, maintaining nuclear, adding lots of renewables, but the fourth piece of that is for us to have the ability to use natural gas as an interim solution to basically bridge us to that final carbon-free, because we know we can get to 80% carbon-free, no problem, by 2030. That last 20% requires a leap in technology, and so using natural gas plants as an interim solution to that is on the table. So
Good.
in terms of the grid, we're not planning on just eliminating all natural gas.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, with all the technology that we're expecting, you know, we're looking at doing carbon-free hydrogen,
Yeah.
which we could possibly burn in our gas plants, for example. So I just wanted to make it clear that we are not, from a grid perspective, doing away with natural gas, so.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
And I agree with you with nuclear energy. It's just how do we store the rods when they're spent?
Yes.
That's a whole other discussion.
Yucca Mountain getting full?
Huh?
They're stored out in Yucca Mountain. Is it getting
Yeah.
full to capacity?
Send them to Bloomington.
Well, is there anything else?
Across the bow.
Mayor, if I just wrap up,
Yeah,
to Councilmember Keeley's point, the way I think about this is really it's a supply and demand thing. So
Yeah.
Excel's talked about how what they're trying to do to help with the supply and how they manage it and do that in an efficiency standpoint. The way I see this program is really trying to help the demand side, to help our residents and businesses be more efficient
Yeah.
in how they use the power to help potentially reduce the supply or at least make it as efficient as possible. So that's kind of the balance I see here. To your point of they're kind of different, but they're obviously linked because power is the theme that runs through it all.
Right. Thank you. That connection to why is important. Don't like to do things just because it feels good. We need a goal, right, and an objective to try and achieve.
okay. Thank you so much. Nicely done to the whole team, everybody. Thank you. But I really like the engagement piece. You really, I mean, just looking at the pictures and reading through the report, that's well done. And that's what we continue to strive for, is how we engage our community and that everybody is welcome, and that you had quite a few engagement opportunities. Thank you. Nicely done, staff.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll move on. So this evening, on the agenda, I'd like council, the participatory budget pilot program was on the agenda for tonight, but Councilmember Kara Schultz is not present, and I'd like a motion for us to move this discussion to July 9th work session.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay, and the motion carries. Thank you. And this allows us for full participation. The next item on the agenda is elected officials' participation on legacy event boards. And I'd like to first thank our staff. With all of the background information that was given to us, to our city manager, thank you very much. And it gives us a great chronology of all of this and where it all started. But from my perspective, it appears to me that we are only supposed to be liaisons according to what the whole idea was back then when Charlie said that we needed a watchdog. And so it was only to be a liaison, but it has evolved where council members are part of the board. And then we look at all of the requests for funding the events. I'm not opposed to having all of the events, but the thing is, one of the policy areas is that we ask for all of the legacy funds, is that they had to have a budget. I'm trying to find it in my background here. That they had to have a budget, a sustainable budget. And one of the things that we haven't done is to ask for the budgets from these legacy events, city manager. Because the background says that they have to be, to have sustainable financial plan.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, this was an issue discussed by the city council, and staff took the direction that the city council provided in revising the policy, which included maintaining the option in the policy for the city to request financial information. That was following staff's recommendation in consultation between the finance department and the city attorney to ensure that these groups were in fact independent. Said another way, staff's concern about requiring any board or independent organization to provide financial statements to us would be assuming responsibility or liability of those financial statements unnecessarily. So that was the discussion at the time and what was implemented and ultimately adopted in the policy that the council took action on in April.
Okay. But the intention was that these organizations are supposed to be sustainable financially. But it appears that it isn't. And all I'm asking is that I don't think it's right for us to be sitting on a board of these legacy events. When you look at the chronology of all of how many times we've looked at this policy and used general fund money to fund it, when they should be sustainable. I know it takes work to help, and I'm a liaison, and I work to help raise money. So I don't know what you all think about, but I believe that we should just be liaisons to these events and not be on the board. Just my opinion.
Madam Mayor, you've served on the board of some of these organizations for quite some time. May I ask why the change of heart?
I'm not served on the board of the Fire Muster. I'm not served on the board of Arts and all that jazz. I've been a liaison for the International Festival.
You've never served on that board?
Nope.
You've just done the fundraising for them?
Fundraising. And that's how I came into it, as a liaison and to help raise funds. From way back when.
Sure.
When we started that.
Well, it should be said that all of these liaison and or board positions are purely 100% volunteer.
Yeah,
We
they
offer
all
our
are.
time and our services and our talents to help keep the organizations going and successful and fundraise as you have, and we all have. I don't know that what we're doing is wrong. I think it's the model that you find city after city after city of elected officials serving in some capacity and volunteering in some capacity on these volunteer boards. If they were a paid board position, I think that might enter in a whole different conflict of interest argument, but as citizens of Burnsville desiring to give our time for our community beyond what we do here in other areas, I mean, I think it's a good discussion to have in the public to say this is what we do and we donate our time. But I don't know that there's anything wrong with us
Well,
doing
we
that.
have access to the people's money. That's what's wrong with it. The people who use the community events and special events, they don't. They don't have access to the people's money, and they don't come and ask us for money.
Sure. Well, that's our job. Although some of them probably could have in the past, and I think some of them have. Tom Taylor, for instance, came
But he
before.
was with the fire muster.
Yeah, Tom Taylor was with the organization and came to us and asked for some funds many years ago for
No,
a,
it was about,
50-year anniversary
I
or
think what
something
he
like that.
came and asked us for was, because it was a 50% on all staff time. And he
yeah,
came to us.
but regardless of the specific ask, there was a financial ask, is what I'm saying. So people other than ourselves have done that to this body. We've done it recently, but what we've asked for isn't out of character or out of the norm of what many other cities have already done. So I don't think we've gone beyond precedent or beyond what other cities have done in what we've asked for. I think today we're probably more consistent now with what many cities do to support these festivals. So if we were to come back and ask to go outside of that boundary, I think there would be question of, okay, is there a need to go that far? But right now, we're just consistent with what many other cities already do and have done for decades, where we actually never did. Now, maybe it's because we didn't ask. Maybe we didn't think it was needed for whatever the reason. I don't know, but it is what it is.
Well, one of the things is that when an organization continues to expand the event and add more, it costs more money, but instead of raising the money to supplement all of that, you come to us, to the people's money, and ask for it.
Well, yeah, we've had that guardrail in all along. No one has expanded any of our events.
Well,
We didn't take
have
that guardrail
fireworks
away,
now
put it that
twice.
right?
We only had fireworks only on Saturday.
No, that was because of the recession. It was 2 nights a week. It was 2 nights a year for years and years and years. Then, because of financial hardship due to the recession, they took it away because they couldn't raise enough money.
Wasn't it your 40th anniversary is why the second night got
Well,
added
that
to
just
celebrate?
just
Because it was a big
recently.
milestone?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
asked.
it was just
for that.
recently, it was
Exactly.
the
Yep.
9/11 and the 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
I gotta remind everybody that Charlie Crichton was the liaison to the fire marshal, but Charlie Crichton is also the person that came to this council and said they need money and we need to support them. And that's how all these festivals
It's not,
got there.
and I don't remember that, and it's
I
not in the record.
absolutely remember that at a work session.
Yeah, I do remember that too.
Yeah.
It's
So-
kind of like how this whole legacy
It came in, we'd
identification
taken
sort of
on,
was
we'd
born,
taken
was
on
let's
the
do.
international festival, and then Charlie said, fire marshal needs some money, and then he included all the other festivals, because he didn't want to come in and just advocate for one organization, and that's how we started doing it.
You know, what is becoming very clear to me, you all don't want to make any changes to it. Because I believe it's the people's money.
You want us not to serve on these boards?
No, you can help them out, but, and if you're serving on a board,
wanna
don't
remind
come
you, I
and
know that
ask,
Jazz was
and
there
don't come and
before I was
ask for
even came
the,
to this
for the,
council.
for the residents and businesses of Burnsville to pay for it. I
Well,
mean,
but I know that you make that statement, Madam Mayor, but again, I want to clarify it for the record. What we're doing today is consistent with many other cities around us. It is not out of the norm by any stretch. Those cities, as I cited in that last discussion, The city of Savage has a statute or an ordinance that dictates if you're a local nonprofit, they don't even have a limit. If you have a local nonprofit and you're gonna put on public music free to the public for entry, and or even fireworks, they will sponsor up to $50,000 to help pay for that. And they don't say, well, that's limited to the first two that comes to the table. It just says it's open to any nonprofit who wants to take advantage of that. They've actually opened themselves up to have as many festivals as nonprofits might want to come and ask them for help. But we don't have that. We just have 4 delineated and defined legacy festivals that we offer this particular exceptional support to, other than, different than others. But again, that model that I brought was because I found it being done over and over and over again in many other cities. And they said they had done it they couldn't even remember when they started doing it. And I thought, why are we not at least helping our festivals the way other cities help their festivals? So fortunately, the council agreed with that, and now we're kind of on par with everybody else. So I think are you talking about the financial aspect of it, or are you talking about just the position of having an elected official volunteer and serve on a board?
Well, from my perspective, is being on a board and having access to the people's money. When the festival, with any of these legacy events expand, because the Burnsville Community Festival and Fire Muster then had Wednesday 2 nights of firework and expanded. So now you need more money to make sure that the festival is sustainable. And so instead of raising the money for it, you come to the city and say, we need more money. And so right now, the Burnsville Festival and Fire Muster gets all staff time plus cash of, Jenny, is it 100 and, because
So now you're talking about a financial thing. So
it's both, yeah,
just
and
to clarify,
it's about.
are you concerned about how much money the city is
No.
supporting our festivals
because-
with? Or are you concerned about city council members sitting on a board, a volunteer board, to help those organizations?
My concern is that city council members sit on those boards, but they come in and ask for money and have access to the people's money. So it is connected, but it's both.
You know,
And so, but it goes on and on and on. The ask continues and continues. It's like every year there seems to be an ask for more money, and there's no limit.
well, we're now on par with many other cities. I don't think there's anything left for us to do. We've now gotten to where I think we should have been many, many years ago. So I don't know that that's, I guess I wouldn't criticize how we got here. It took us a lot longer to get to where these other cities have been 10, 15, 20 years ago. So I don't know why it would be any different now today, but I get your point about us serving on the board. I honestly would say, Vince is on our volunteer event committee for the Burnsville Festival. So he's the liaison, and he's a volunteer. He could have brought that same request to this council that I brought. Because I sit on the board, he would have brought it in theory of your model. Would that have changed the outcome? Would people have listened differently because Vince, who's a council member, and I'm a council member, but because he's just a liaison and not a board member, would that have changed the ask in some way or changed the outcome or the reason for the ask?
No, I think
No.
that my issue is that having access to the people's money.
Well, that's kind of our job.
That's our job, yeah.
Well,
We
but
have
our
access to
job,
all of it.
statutorily, our job is to make sure that the people's money is spent on public safety, public works,
And
parks,
bringing our
economic
community
development.
together, which is what we do with these festivals, and that's what it's all about. It's quality of life in our city.
Okay, so it's very clear to me that you want it to just go on the way it is. And so when you need more money, you're going to come back and ask for more money.
It still requires
Oh, I'm not-
council to vote
have
on
no-
that, whether we're.
Well,
gonna
I
do
voted
it or not.
against it,
I know you did.
yeah.
Yeah, we're,
But you lost the vote, but you lost, the majority went with the vote.
No, and I wanted to talk about, you know,
And
when
we-
you
this
have
is the
access
this
to
is
the
second time we're
people's
talking
money.
about it.
So, yeah, so anyway, I'm
guess-
gonna let it go.
I'm just trying to get to the bottom of
Yeah.
what you really want, and it sounded like you really just had a concern about us serving on the board versus being a liaison.
Well, it's not, it's serving on the board, and then when you need more money, that you come to the city to get the money from the general fund.
Or the EDA in this case.
Or it's still the people's money. It's,
Absolutely.
you know, slice it whichever it
You can go
comes.
to any city, you can go to Apple Valley, and they'll tell you, well, this is what we give, and who asked
Yeah.
for it? It was council members, representatives who work on those volunteer groups that bring the voice of that group to the table and ask. And the council there, or in Rosemont, or in Lakeville, or in Savage, they all debated it and made a decision to support it or not support it. I think the messenger doesn't matter. It's the council's desire and decision that ultimately says yes or no to it. As you understand, I gotta know. When you remember, I asked for fireworks, and the city for that 40th did. It also incurred $2,000, it was 1,800 and some change more in fire department costs, which the festival had to absorb. So, and I came back and said, would the city please pick that up? And the council said no. So there's no guarantee that there's a yes when we come on behalf of these festivals, but, you know, I don't want to criticize anyone's volunteer work. We go out of our way to do a lot of extra work for these organizations to help the International Festival, the Art and All That Jazz, the Burnsville Festival happen every year. They don't happen by magic. As Vince will tell you, they don't just happen. It is an enormous amount of work. And the
And I'm
city is
grateful
playing
to
a
the
role
members,
in
And
that.
I'm grateful to the members of the community who are part of that, because it's not just us, it's the community members who really
Bingo.
are pushing all of that, and
We're a
then
small
our,
piece of it.
and they do a lot of work. So,
Absolutely.
and the other thing is that we all serve, not just on these legacy events. I'm on the, you know, I'm on Lions and in other organizations
Community
that raise
Foundation.
money, but we raise money for the good of the community.
Sure.
And so,
Lions is a great organization. I'm so glad that they're in the pull tab business. It's a great revenue stream.
Yep.
I'm glad that they were able to do that long ago. By the way, I'm happy to announce the Lions Club is going to run the bingo for the festival now. After 4 years, maybe they haven't been doing it, but I invited them, and the last 2 years, I've been trying to get them back, and they said they would
Yeah.
come back and put the bingo
It
on.
was on
I
a-
really
it-
believe that's the right organization to do our bingo. I
It
think
was
they've been
discussed in our
doing, they were
meeting
doing the
last
bingo
night.
probably for 20 years prior. I mean, they're the
we were.
legacy
We were.
supporter.
We were, yeah.
Which
It
will
was
actually help
discussed
raise
last
money
night
for the
in our
Lions.
meeting.
That's another one of your fundraisers, right? That there will be money raised for the Lions by running that bingo operation.
But you also, yeah, and they're great
Which is great,
volunteers, because they volunteer for the International Festival. So anyway, it's going to stay the way it is, so that's it.
I'd just like to, because I've been sitting here silent the whole time, just so I'm not feeling like I copped out of this conversation, but I'm looking at the outcomes of what this is, and this outcome is community enrichment. We're already spending money on other festivals that are administratively handled by our staff, so I think I mentioned this at one of our other discussions. We're already spending the people's money on festivals that are planned by our staff, and so this is, in my opinion, in the same bucket of money that we're already investing that money into, with outcomes being community gathering, community enrichment, gathering people of different backgrounds together, celebrating Burnsville collectively. And so that's why I don't wince at this as much as, you know, I don't want to open up a rabbit hole, but like NLC memberships and U.S. Conference of Mayor, things like those are bettering our professional career, but aren't directly impacting the community in that same way, if you know what I mean. I mean, if we were gonna try to chop up where dollars are spent and how it's actually being realized in the community. I think this is probably one of the most tangible realizations of that investment, which is why I'm comfortable with how we have it right now.
Well, and to your points in all the organizations we belong to, we have the city managers and our CFO and everybody else all belong, but it enriches us in our knowledge base that enriches the community. Because if we don't continue to improve who we are,
Absolutely.
then the decisions that we make are not going to be of value to the
And I'm
community.
not belittling those, I'm just saying those are more of a softer realization than festivals, which I think the community can realize they can touch it and feel it with their own hands.
I have no problems with the things that we have adopted with regard to Parties on a Plaza. Parties on a Plaza happened because Dan Gustafson and Kara went to a LMC meeting in Rochester, but it was the Retail Association of Rochester who put on the summer festivals that they have. And they raised the money for that festival. It wasn't the city. It was the Retail Association of Rochester who did that. So they brought it back and said, we should have that, and we're all about engagement. So 3 times in the summertime, we begin to engage our community, and there's small events, but there are 3 small events that bring people together, and it doesn't, it's staff time, and I believe the music that we get is not that expensive if you've been to Party on a Plaza. They're not very expensive music.
But we've expanded into Easter egg hunts and pride
Oh,
celebrations. and
that
Juneteenth.
Easter egg hunts we've always had.
I'm just
So
saying, like,
anyway,
we're investing
listen,
the money in
I
community
understand
enrichment.
that we all are about engaging our community in every way. My issue was having access to the people's money. So we'll leave it at
preferential
that.
treatment.
I'm not going to make more of an issue of it. And, but we'll just see what happens next year if people are going to want more money from the people's wallet.
Well, I can tell you Dan CCs me on all of his fundraising emails, and he's been going to town lately. And so I know that he hasn't taken joy in coming in here and asking for these things when it has happened. And I don't, you all fundraise too, and I've been there, and we know the rigors of it, and that could be a full-time job on its own.
It is. Okay, so we'll move on to roundtable. Black Dog Water Management Organization vacancies. Michelle?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Last year, the council did interview for the Black Dog WMO vacancies and made appointments at that time. We really got a great turnout of candidates for interviews, and there were 2 candidates that were put on deck. So because you only interview for this commission every 3 years instead of every year like the other commissions, we put 2 people on deck for this commission, and I would just like to know which candidate you would like to move forward to fill a vacancy.
Well,
The 2 applications were in your packet.
yeah, that's all I did.
I really liked Dr. Buffalo Head, but I also thought she would be a good candidate. She, correct?
Yes.
Would be a good candidate for our Parks Commission with her background. If we have vacancies coming up on those. Was my takeaway.
Mayor and
Yeah.
council members, we do have vacancies coming up on our regular commissions with our annual recruitment process that we're working on currently. That has closed for this session. However, as a candidate that there was some technical difficulties during her interview, so I know that we maybe didn't get to spend as much time with her as some of the other candidates, but definitely she has applied, and And we could consider that also during the appointment process for this year's annual, for the other commissions as well. We do have 17 applications, two of which are incumbents for the interviews coming up on Monday,
Or all of the commissions or just parks?
for all of them.
Oh,
So can we add that to that interview process then? Since it's coming up anyways?
well, but we have two here. Do you like one of them?
The doctor's fine, I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, we're getting so close to appointing all the commissions anyway, so. it's like-
We could wrap them all in
Yeah,
together.
that's what I'm
yes.
saying, just wrap them all in together and
Would you like to?
give us a
What,
chance, to
to
give us a chance to
what,
revisit
just
from a
take
year ago.
Look at her again and Kathy Gunn?
Okay,
It's just the two of
Just give
them.
us a chance to review it again.
Okay.
It's been a year.
we can go through that process then on Monday when we do that.
They both have good resumes, and
Yeah.
you know, as we all know, the Black Dog Commission doesn't meet or handle as heavy of things as our Parks Board. So I feel like
Yeah.
with their backgrounds, they might serve. Well, and I'm not belittling Black Dog, but based on
Daniel?
what their needs.
Might have been a slight.
I interviewed for that commission.
I know. I used to say, that was my first
Okay.
council liaison, I think, was
Yeah.
Black Dog, because of Crystal Lake.
Dan Kay, are you okay to just review Kathy Gunn and Dr. Joni Buffalo Head?
Yeah, their resumes are great, but it's been so long, I don't remember. Did we have either one of them, like, teed up as a potential backup or anything, or?
Yeah,
Both-
these
both
two
of
are the backups.
Yeah,
We had quite a few of them,
yeah.
and
Which is
these two
great.
were the backups.
Black Dog is,
Yeah.
so,
So I can bring that information from our last interview process for this
Mm-hmm.
to our next one, and we can conclude at that time.
And we'll interview them then. Okay,
I
That'd be
can
fine.
see if they are available for an interview at that time. They were not invited to this interview process because they were already on deck.
right.
Yeah.
Usually we have one on deck, so it's a little easier decision, but we have two, so now we have to, and it has been a long time.
Okay, reports. Vince, you have anything?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, can I just get some clarity on the council's direction?
The
that,
direction is
so,
to
yeah.
invite and
The
is to.
council wishes that staff invite both of the applicants for interviews in
think
this
that's a good
next
idea.
round
Yes,
here in May.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
thank you. Just wanted to make sure we were clear.
yeah. Vince, you have any?
No updates, but got my invites to our LMC meetings for the summer, so we'll be starting those up here next month.
Dan?
Nothing to report at this time.
Dan Kay?
Just a couple, MBTA, we've been having further discussions with a company called May Mobility, which operates autonomous microtransit vehicles in Grand Rapids, Minnesota for a year, and it's been going very well. They got a grant extension. We're working with them, and it appears that there's some funding options, and that I would say things are still thumbs up that we are going to have that a 5-vehicle test as part of our microtransit fleet by October of this year. And the idea of my request for maybe having those vehicles available for the festival to debut in Burnsville, because Burnsville would be one of the MVTA Connect areas that those 5 vehicles would be assigned, is looking good, so very excited about that. We are also looking to buy 5 additional vehicles. These would be as a result of a federal exemption for vehicles purchased offshore. Most of these vehicles are assembled in Turkey. These are electric vehicles. We had a demo last winter of one of these. They're extremely heavy because of the amount of batteries they have. And we now, with that federal exemption for using federal funds on something not built in the United States, it was granted for these. We're going to order 5 of those. So we'll end up with 10 more vehicles coming into our microtransit fleet, which will dramatically allow us to reduce the wait time, number one, and expand that service into Scott County. where they've been patiently waiting for several years to get microtransit service. So very excited about things that are going on with MBTA in this particular year. I had a speaking event along with my fellow chairs on NLC, Ruth Grindal from Apple Valley, who chairs the Energy Committee, and Mayor, Rosemont Mayor, Jeff, his last name is Wenschel, I think, who is a member of the board of the NLC. We spoke in front of the LMC board and shared our NLC experience and encouraged people to get involved of all sizes of cities around Minnesota, since about 90% of the membership of LMC is small rural cities outside of the metro. It was amazing how many cities of 5,000 and less make up the majority of the geographic area of the state of Minnesota and are members of the League of Minnesota Cities. And then we have, I have a phone call with the US DOT and a few other representatives on our TIS committee with the National League of Cities to talk about our microtransit and share the success that we're having and the need for, obviously, equipment to meet the demand and sort of explain why it's so successful, who's riding it, which about 63 to 65% are people who depend on public transit, don't have a car, very much servicing the folks who may or may not be able to afford a car. So the people who need to get to jobs or to appointments. And also share some success, because US DOT is hearing a lot of stories from the state of California, whose legislature thought they were smarter than everybody else locally, which is something I think our legislature tends to have a problem with now and then. And they're forcing microtransit vehicles into cities, and some of these are autonomous vehicles, and there's been some negative press as a result of that, some stories of these vehicles crashing into things and crashing into people. So, and it's being kind of pushed down from the state rather than grassroots up, which is how we're doing it on the local level. And then in the month of June, next month, I think we are going to delay our work session, I believe, or not. Maybe I'm just not going to be here. I'll be out in California at a NLC leadership, which is the board and all the federal advocacy committees are meeting for a summer leadership to develop our legislative platforms for the coming year. I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay. And I don't have anything to report. So with that, a motion to adjourn is in order, and then we will reconvene for the special budget work session. But I need a motion. Well, I will do what I usually do. We are adjourned by acclamation.
There you go.